All right, we're back in class. In the last lesson, you saw that every file has permissions set: read, write, and execute for the user, read, write, and execute for the group, and read, write, and execute for others, right? So we're taking a step further right now. We're going to look at how to change the permissions on a file. How to change the permissions on a file. Let's get into this. The command used for changing permissions is chmod. Okay? And how you can change the permissions is by one of two methods. We're going to look at the octal notation first. It's called the octal notation. And I can represent it by doing something like this: 644 on the file name. All right, so what am I saying here? I'm saying change the permissions on file 1 to 644. I will hit enter and I will see the permissions on file 1 and see that they are read, write, read, and read. Now, how does 644 mean read, write, read, and read? That takes us to numbers that we represent the file permissions with. The read permission is represented by the number 4. The write permission is represented by the number 2. And the execute permission is represented by the number 1. 4, 2, and 1. Read, write, and execute. So read 4, write 2, execute 1. So these numbers that you get here, 6 is 4 plus 2. All right, so I'm saying read and write. This is just 4, and this is just 4. So it means just read. So you have read, write, 4 plus 2, 6. Read alone, 4. And read alone, 4. Now, let me take another example where I change it to something different so we can see a little. This sees it in action again. chmod 741 on the same file, and I will list the long list the file, and let's see. 7 is 4 plus 2 plus 1, which is read, write, and execute. So you have read, write, and execute for the user. For the group, you have just 4, which is read only. And for others, you have just 1, which is execute. All right? So that's how it's done, using the octal notation. So when you're using the octal notation, the numbers will represent read, write, and execute in combination to form the permissions given. So we have a 7. Let me run through all of them, all the possibilities. A 7 will represent read, write, and execute. A 6 will represent read and write only. A 5 will represent read and execute only. A 4 will represent read only. Okay. A 3 will represent write and execute only. A 2 will represent write only, and a 1 will represent execute only. All right. It's that simple. So from looking at the numbers, you will know what permissions are on the file. All right. Now there's a different way. There's another way called the symbolic notation, which is sometimes a little easier for assigning permissions to the files. Let's look at the same file again. I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to type in let's ls-l on that file again. Okay, and I'm going to type in permissions using. I'm going to change the permissions. Sorry, using the symbolic notation. I will say O minus X on file 1. What have I done? I have just said others, take away the execute permission from others. Or others minus execute. All right. So let's and you will see that the X permission that was here before is no longer here. It's gone. That is the symbolic notation. Now, how do I say I want to add I want to take away I want to add the write permission to the group. I want to add the write permission to the group. Think of this. It will be chmod, do it along with me in your mind, chmod G plus W on file 1. G plus W. Now, let's just look at this part, all right, and look at the options here. G means group, U means user, O means others. All right, so let me put them in order. U means user, G means group, and and O means others. All right. Now let's look at this second part here. The plus here. Plus means add the permission. Minus means take away the permission. Right? Logical. Then the next part. W, this W here stands for write. So the options there could be any of the permissions. It could be read, in which case it would be an R. It could be W for write, and it could be X for execute. Okay, so you have those three parts to make up the symbolic notation. Here is the term is what you're doing here is determining whether it's for the group, whether it's for the user, for the group, or for others. Here you're determining whether you're adding or removing the permission. Here you're determining whether which permission you're adding or removing. Okay, and now you can combine these. You can say chmod UG, okay, plus RW on file 1. Now, what did you do here? You said both users and groups will be given the read and write permission. Okay, both the user and the group will be given the read and write permission. So if I list it here, you will see that the user and the group have the read and write permission, and the user the user has the read and write permission. The group has the read and write permission, and that is what we did right here. However, you may notice that the X that was here was not added by this command. We did not determine the X. Right? This X was added by the previous command. So in other words, this command to give the user and group the read and write permissions did not change previously listed permissions. Now, if you wanted to write a command that would do that would change previously written permissions so that just the user and the group will have the read and write permissions and all former positions will be obliterated, you would use the equal sign. Right? So if we do that, we have a situation where all the former permissions are gone. And right now, we have just the permissions that we specified here. Read, write. Read and write. Now let's take a few more questions before we go on.